Liam stood alone in the quiet of his living room, the sunlight streaming through sheer curtains, casting delicate patterns on the hardwood floor. He absentmindedly flipped through a stack of old photographs, a bittersweet mix of memories flooding his mind. Each image captured moments of laughter and joy, but also reminders of the chasm that had grown between him and his brother, Russell. The ache of their estrangement gnawed at him, a constant companion that whispered regrets into his ear. He thought of their childhood adventures, the endless summer days filled with laughter and mischief, and how that bond had shattered into silence. Before we dive into this story, I urge you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us and helps these heartfelt stories reach more people who need to hear them. Let's embark on this journey together. As Liam continued to sift through the memories, he could almost hear the echoes of their shared laughter. He closed his eyes and envisioned Russell's face, the way it would light up with mischief or crinkle with laughter. Those simple moments felt like a lifetime ago, overshadowed by the bitter argument that had sent him packing across the country. He never thought that a single disagreement could sever the ties of brotherhood, turning love into resentment and silence into a void. Meanwhile, in a small house on the outskirts of their hometown, Russell found himself staring at a weathered box tucked away in the corner of his attic. It was filled with trinkets from his childhood, mementos of a life once shared with Liam. As he opened the box, the familiar scent of aged paper and dust enveloped him, and with it came a flood of memories, some warm, some painful. He picked up a toy car they had played with, remembering the countless races they had held, cheering for each other as if the world outside their small bubble didn't exist. But just as quickly, the memories twisted into reminders of the estrangement that had left them both adrift, yearning for connection, yet too proud to reach out. The phone rang, jolting him back into the present. It was a call he had been dreading. Their mother had passed away a few weeks earlier, and the weight of that loss was still heavy on Russell's heart. He had been tasked with sorting through her belongings, and the thought of facing the past felt like an insurmountable mountain. Yet there was something about the call that felt different, almost urgent. As he listened to the voice on the other end, it became clear that a letter had been found among their mother's things, a letter addressed to both him and Liam. It was a plea for reconciliation, a heartfelt message urging them to put aside their differences and remember the love that had once bound them together. Russell's heart raced as he absorbed the words, each sentence resonating with a truth he had long buried. The letter was a gentle nudge, a reminder that life was too short to hold on to anger. The weight of the letter sat heavily on Russell's chest as he hung up the phone. He felt torn between the comfort of the familiar resentment and the unfamiliar notion of reaching out. Could he really do it? Could he face Liam after 30 years of silence? The thought terrified him. Yet there was a flicker of hope igniting within, a hope that perhaps, just perhaps, this could be the first step toward healing. Meanwhile, halfway across the country, Liam felt a sudden shift within himself. He had been reading through more old photographs when an unfamiliar number appeared on his phone. Hesitation washed over him, but something compelled him to answer. It was Russell, and the voice on the other end was shaky yet resolute, breaking the long silence that had stretched for decades. "Liam, I found a letter from Mom," Russell said, his voice barely above a whisper. "She wanted us to talk." Liam's heart pounded. He hadn't expected this moment to come, and yet here it was, a lifeline thrown into the turbulent waters of their relationship. They spoke of their mother, reminiscing about her warmth, her laughter, and her unwavering belief in family. Each shared memory felt like a balm on old wounds, easing the tension that had defined their relationship for so long. As they spoke, the floodgates opened, and emotions that had been locked away for years began to pour out. Liam and Russell shared their regrets, their fears, and their longing for the bond they had lost. It was a raw, vulnerable conversation, but it felt like a step toward something greater, a journey toward forgiveness. With each word exchanged, the brothers began to weave together the frayed threads of their relationship, cautiously approaching the chasm that had once felt insurmountable. They spoke of their lives, the families they had built, and the dreams they had pursued. But beneath the surface lay a deep well of pain, a shared understanding that they had both been carrying the weight of their estrangement for far too long. As the conversation wound down, an unspoken agreement hung in the air, a desire to meet, to face each other not just as brothers, but as men who had weathered the storms of life. They both knew that this reunion could either deepen the wounds or set them on a path toward healing. Days turned into weeks as they planned their meeting, both men grappling with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The anticipation built like a pressure cooker, each moment stretching into eternity as they prepared to confront their shared past. Would they be able to navigate the turbulent waters of their emotions and find a way back to one another? The day finally arrived, laden with the weight of history and the hope of reconciliation. As Russell drove to the meeting place, he could feel his heart racing, a mixture of fear and anticipation swirling within him. He had spent decades imagining this moment, and now it was here, tangible and real. He could only hope that the conversation would lead them to a place of understanding and healing. Liam stood at the meeting spot, his breath catching in his throat as he caught sight of Russell's familiar figure approaching. Time seemed to stand still as the brothers locked eyes, the years of silence hanging heavy in the air. Would this be a moment of rekindled connection or the continuation of their estrangement? In that instant, everything hung in the balance, the past, the present, and the possibility of a future together. As they drew closer, the world around them faded, leaving only the two of them standing on the precipice of forgiveness and reconciliation. As they drew closer, the world around them faded, leaving only the two of them standing on the precipice of forgiveness and reconciliation. In that poignant moment, the air between them was thick with emotions that had been suppressed for 3 long decades. The familiar contours of Russell's face evoked a surge of memories in Liam. Memories of shared childhood joys, late-night conversations, and the warmth of brotherhood that seemed so distant now. "Hey," Russell said, his voice barely breaking through the silence, yet laden with a weight that spoke volumes. "Hey," Liam replied, his heart pounding in his chest. The greeting felt almost inadequate, a mere whisper against the backdrop of their shared history. They stood there for a heartbeat longer, the unspoken words hanging in the air like a fragile thread connecting them. It was Russell who took the first step, closing the distance between them. The embrace that followed was tentative at first, a cautious melding of two souls that had been apart for far too long. As their arms wrapped around each other, a flood of emotions washed over them. Relief, sorrow, and the flicker of hope mingled in a chaotic dance. "I can't believe it's really you," Russell said, pulling back slightly to look into Liam's eyes. He searched for signs of the brother he once knew, the boy who had shared dreams and laughter. "It feels like a dream." "It does," Liam agreed, his voice thick with emotion. "I never thought we would get to this point." The weight of their shared history hung heavily in the atmosphere. Yet in that moment, the brothers were willing to tread into the murky waters of their past. Liam gestured towards a nearby bench, and they settled down, the tension palpable as they faced each other. "Do you want to talk about it?" Russell asked, his voice a mixture of curiosity and caution. "About everything?" Liam took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "I think we have to. There's so much we've left unsaid, so many years lost." Russell nodded, the flicker of understanding passing between them. "I never wanted to lose you, Liam. That fight, it spiraled out of control, and I let my pride get in the way." The admission hung in the air, heavy yet liberating. "I did the same," Liam replied, the sting of regret piercing through his heart. "I thought leaving would be easier than facing what happened, but it only made things worse." The brothers exchanged stories, revisiting the painful moments that had defined their separation. With each revelation, the walls that had built up over the years began to crumble, revealing the vulnerabilities they had both hidden away. Russell spoke about the burden of caring for their aging mother alone, the weight of responsibility that had felt suffocating at times. "And you," he continued, "you had a whole life out there. I always wondered if you were happy." Liam smiled wistfully, a mixture of pride and remorse. "I built a life, yes, but it was never complete without you. I missed you every day. The laughter we shared, the stupid arguments, the bond." As they spoke, the years of silence transformed into a tapestry of understanding woven with threads of empathy. Each story shared, each tear shed, brought them closer together, stitching the fabric of their fractured relationship. "Do you remember the treehouse we built?" Liam asked, a soft chuckle escaping his lips as memories flooded back. Russell's eyes brightened, a smile breaking through the sadness. "Of course! I still can't believe we thought we could build that thing ourselves." The conversation flowed more freely as laughter replaced lingering tension. They reminisced about their childhood adventures, the late-night stargazing, the bike races, and the endless summer days spent exploring the woods behind their house. It was as if the years of silence melted away, revealing the undeniable bond that had always existed beneath the surface. Yet, as the laughter subsided, an uncomfortable silence settled between them. The looming specter of their argument hovered overhead, a reminder of the fissure that had once seemed unbridgeable. "Liam," Russell began, his voice low and serious, "I need to know what happened that day. Why did we let it go so far?" Liam's expression turned somber as he recalled the heated words exchanged, the anger that had spiraled out of control. "It started over something so trivial, but we both let our tempers flare. I was so frustrated with everything, and instead of talking, I stormed off. I regret that so much." Russell nodded, his gaze fixed on the ground. "I was stubborn too. I should have reached out. You were my brother, and I let that fight define us for too long." The weight of their shared regrets hung heavily in the air, but instead of pulling them apart, it began to bind them closer. They understood now that the pain of their silence had been a shared burden, each carrying it alone for far too long. "Maybe it's time we let go of the past," Liam suggested, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. "We can't change what happened, but we can choose how we move forward." Russell looked up, his expression shifting from sorrow to determination. "You're right. We owe it to ourselves and to Mom to find a way back to each other." And as they sat together, the weight of their shared history began to lift. The brothers were ready to embark on a new chapter, one grounded in forgiveness and understanding. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow around them, Liam and Russell exchanged promises to be more present in each other's lives. It felt like a rebirth, a chance to rediscover the bond that had once defined their childhood. "Let's not let another 30 years go by," Russell said, a smile breaking through the remnants of their sorrow. "Agreed," Liam replied, laughter spilling forth as they both realized how monumental this moment was. "We have a lot of catching up to do." The night air was filled with a sense of renewal, and as they left the bench where they had shared their heartaches and laughter, Liam felt a warmth in his heart that he hadn't experienced in years. The path ahead remained uncertain, but for the first time in 3 decades, he felt the comforting presence of his brother by his side. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. With this newfound connection, the brothers began to make plans. Meetings over coffee, family gatherings, and even simple phone calls to check in. They were determined to nurture the relationship that had once felt impossible to mend. As days turned into weeks, their bond blossomed anew. Each encounter filled with laughter and the shared understanding that they were no longer alone in their journey. They began to reminisce about the dreams they had once shared as children, discussing how those dreams had evolved over the years. Yet, even in their renewed camaraderie, the shadows of their past lingered. The pain of their mother's passing still weighed heavily on Russell, a constant reminder of the time they had lost. He often found himself grappling with feelings of guilt over their estrangement, wishing he could have done more to bridge the gap. One evening, as they sat on Russell's porch, the sunset painting the sky in vibrant hues, Liam turned to his brother. "You know, Mom would be so proud of us right now. She always believed in the power of family." Russell nodded, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I just wish I had been able to tell her that we were okay before she left us." The vulnerability in Russell's voice struck a chord deep within Liam. "I know it's hard, but we can honor her memory by being there for each other now. We can be the brothers she always wanted us to be." As they spoke of their mother, sharing stories of her unwavering love and support, the brothers began to heal the wounds that had festered for so long. They spoke of her laughter, the way she would light up the room with her presence, and the lessons she had instilled in them about the importance of family. In that moment, they chose to embrace their mother's spirit, vowing to carry her legacy forward. The promise of a renewed relationship filled them with a sense of purpose, igniting a fire within them to cherish the time they still had together. With each passing day, the brothers grew closer, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced and the love they had rediscovered. They traveled to the places of their childhood, revisiting the treehouse that had once been their sanctuary, laughing and reminiscing as if no time had passed. As they stood amidst the familiar surroundings, Liam turned to Russell, a sense of gratitude welling up inside him. "Thank you for being brave enough to take that first step. I know it wasn't easy." Russell smiled, the warmth of brotherhood enveloping them. "It was worth it. I've realized that family is everything. I don't want to lose you again." And in that moment, as they stood side by side, the brothers forged a new path, a path filled with forgiveness, understanding, and an unbreakable bond that would carry them through whatever life had in store. The silence that had once defined them was replaced with laughter, love, and the promise of a future together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the land, Liam and Russell knew that they were no longer just brothers. They were a family, united by the power of love and resilience. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the land, and with it, Liam and Russell felt the weight of their past lift slightly, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. They were no longer just brothers. They were a family, united by the power of love and resilience. "Let's make a pact," Liam proposed, his eyes glinting with determination. "No more letting time slip away. We'll check in weekly, plan family dinners, and make new memories. This is our chance to reclaim what we lost." Russell nodded, his heart swelling with appreciation for this newfound connection. "I'd like that. I want to hear about your life, your kids, everything. There's so much I've missed." With laughter and excitement, they began to brainstorm ideas for their first family dinner, quickly agreeing on the importance of including their children. The thought of their kids meeting filled them with joy, picturing the laughter and chaos that would ensue. As the weeks passed, their weekly calls transformed into shared meals, laughter echoing through the homes they had built. Liam's children, curious and full of energy, quickly bonded with Russell, their laughter weaving a new tapestry of family history. They played games, shared stories of their own adventures, and slowly, the scars of the past began to fade against the backdrop of new memories being created. Russell found himself becoming an integral part of Liam's life, visiting during holidays and special occasions. Each gathering was a celebration not just of the present, but of the healing journey they had embarked upon. They spoke openly about their childhood, reminiscing about their mother's love and the lessons she had imparted, instilling a sense of belonging in their children. One crisp autumn evening, as leaves danced in the wind and the air was filled with the aroma of pumpkin and spice, Liam hosted a family dinner. The table was adorned with a bounty of food, laughter spilling from every corner of the room. Russell watched as his niece and nephew, full of life and energy, played in the yard, a sense of warmth wrapping around him. "Look at them," he said, turning to Liam. "They're just like us." Liam chuckled, his gaze fondly following the children. "Yeah, it's hard to believe how far we've come. It feels like a dream sometimes." As the evening progressed, they gathered around the table, sharing stories and laughter. Liam took a moment to reflect on their journey, the battles fought, and the healing that had taken place. "You know, I never thought we'd get here. It's like we've been given a second chance." Russell nodded, his eyes shimmering with emotion. "It's never too late. We've learned that family is worth fighting for, no matter how much time passes." After dinner, they gathered in the living room, the flickering candlelight casting soft shadows on the walls. The children were tucked away, and the atmosphere felt intimate and safe. "Can we talk about Mom?" Russell asked, his voice gentle yet firm. Liam smiled softly, understanding the importance of this moment. Of course, I think about her all the time. She would love seeing how happy we are now. As they shared their memories, each story was a thread weaving them closer. They laughed about their mother's quirks, her fierce love, and her ability to bring people together. They spoke of how she had always encouraged them to find their way back to each other. And in that moment, it felt as if she was there with them, smiling warmly. Mom always believed in us, even when we didn't believe in ourselves, Russell said, a hint of sadness in his voice. And now it's our turn to carry that legacy forward, Liam added, his heart swelling with gratitude for this moment. Let's Mac. You sure our kids know how important family is? As they spoke late into the night, the bond between them grew more profound. They recognized the strength in vulnerability, the power of sharing their grief, and how it ultimately led them to joy. In the months that followed, Liam and Russell continued to nurture their relationship, finding strength in their shared experiences. They began volunteering together, giving back to their community in honor of their mother's legacy. Their actions became a testament to the love that had once been overshadowed by silence, and they found purpose in helping others. One day, as they cleaned up a local park, Russell turned to Liam with a thoughtful expression. You know, I never thought I'd be doing this with you. It feels good to give back. It does, Liam agreed, a sense of satisfaction washing over him. And it's a reminder of how blessed we are to have this chance. As they worked side by side, the laughter and camaraderie echoed through the park, reminding them that they were no longer bound by their past. They were brothers, reclaiming their history one moment at a time. Seasons changed, and with each passing holiday, they created new traditions. Thanksgiving dinners filled with shared recipes, holiday gatherings that blended their families into one, and summer barbecues that turned into joyous celebrations of life. Each moment was a brushstroke on the canvas of their renewed relationship, vibrant and full of love. Looking back, they recognized that while the scars of their past would always remain, they had transformed those wounds into a source of strength. They had learned the power of forgiveness, not just for each other but also for themselves. As they stood together one evening, overlooking a sunset that painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Liam felt a profound sense of peace. We did it, Russell. We found our way back. Russell smiled, a warmth spreading through him. And we'll keep moving forward, together. In that moment, they understood that family was more than just blood. It was love, resilience, and the willingness to embrace the journey, no matter how difficult it might be. They had chosen each other again, and this time, they would never let silence take them apart. With renewed spirits and a bond that had been forged in both pain and love, Liam and Russell walked into the future hand in hand, ready to face whatever life had in store, knowing that they had each other, brothers, friends, and a family once more.